Hey guys, and welcome back. Yesterday on February 16th, 2020, we got news that actor Jason Davis, not a very well-known actor, someone whose most notable role was a voice actor role for the Disney series Recess. We got news that he passed away at the age of 35. And while no cause of death was immediately reported, this man does have documented drug abuse issues. So some have speculated that that's the case. I don't speculate necessarily on the cause of death in my videos. We just look at the numerology of these events. And this one is particularly interesting in light of the character that he played on the Disney series Recess. Now, before I get into the numerology of this story, I want to point out that yesterday, and I do this every so often, occasionally there's just a date that has a bunch of numbers that line up with eclipses, and it seems like we're going to get some sort of eclipse sacrifice on that date. Now, on the morning of February 16th, at around 7:30, I pointed out that we'll probably get a pretty interesting eclipse riddle, and that's usually in the form of a celebrity sacrifice, unfortunately. So we'll talk about how the numbers I pointed out in this post happened to appear in the news story that we got. So as I mentioned, Jason Davis was most notable for his role as a character named Mikey Bloomberg from the TV series Recess. And immediately this name popped out at me, Mikey Bloomberg. It just so happens that there's a man currently running for president whose name is Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City. And I couldn't help but, think about how strange that is, the character Mikey Bloomberg dying shortly after Michael Bloomberg starts his presidential campaign. And when you look at the numerology between these two men, you realize something very, very strange is going on. So let's get into this here. First of all, Bloomberg was the longtime mayor for about 12 years of New York City. Using the alphabetic order, N, the 14th letter, plus Y, the 25th, plus C, the 3rd, gives us a sum of 42, NYC, as in New York City. Michael Bloomberg was born on February 14th of 1942. This means he was born 42 years before Jason Davis, who was born in the year 84. Now, Michael Bloomberg, born in the year 42. Now, when you write out 42, you get this ordinal value of 142. Bloomberg was born on the 14th of February, the date written 14/2. And now, Jason Davis, this actor, passing away at the age of 35, which also sums to 142 in the alphabetic order. But perhaps what stands out even more is the age of Jason Davis at the age of death. On the date he passed, he was exactly 1,844 weeks old. Now, this is significant because the number 844 is the inverse of 448. In English extended Gematria, which is actually the cipher that's most closely similar to Hebrew Gematria and Greek isopsephy, Eclipse sacrifice gives us this 448. Amazingly, when you add the name Jason Davis to the name Michael Bloomberg, you get 448 in the reverse alphabetic order. This 448 is the ordinal gematria of ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, whose headquarters is in Washington, D.C., running our federal government, our mainstream media, and, of course, our presidential elections. Freemasonry especially significant to this particular date because the date February 16th this year had primary numerology of 58, which is the reduction value of Freemasonry. Also worth pointing out that Michael Bloomberg, born on a date with 58 numerology as well. So he was born in 42. Jason Davis was born 42 years later in the year 84. Well, notice how Michael Bloomberg, who's, like I mentioned, is currently running a presidential campaign. He officially launched his campaign on November 24th of last year. This is exactly 84 days before Jason Davis died. Jason Davis, born in the year 84, Davis equals 804 in Jewish Gematria. And in Sumerian Gematria, Michael Bloomberg, summing to 840. So the number that connects these two men in Gematria, also connecting the presidential campaign with Davis's death. A couple other things worth mentioning. Jason Davis, in ordinal, summing to 114. His birthday is October 14th, the date written 10/14, or 114. In reverse, his name sums to 156 and 66. This is the same as New York, New York, the city over which Michael Bloomberg presided for 12 years. And I should probably put more emphasis on that. He was the mayor. Oh, I see the riddle now. Okay, so he was the mayor for 12 years. When he announced his presidency, it was exactly 12 weeks before this Jason Davis died. I just mentioned English Sumerian Gematria, which is the alphabetic order, times 6. The phrase total solar eclipse equals 1212 in this cipher. And I noticed that on the date of the last total solar eclipse, which was on July 2nd, or was I looking at the... I was looking at the Great American Eclipse, and this will make sense in a second. Okay. Let me finish off the numerology on New York. I got sidetracked there for a second. But this will all make sense, like I said. So Jason Davis, with the same gematria as New York, New York. Also notice the 33 in reduction. New York equals 33 in reverse reduction. The word eclipse equals 33. Again, we're talking about this being an eclipse sacrifice. Also notice the 69 in ordinal. That's the ordinal value of Recess, the show that Jason Davis is best known for. Recess also summing to 303. Pretty interesting that his death fell exactly 303 days with the end date before the next total solar eclipse. The name Davis equals 330. So another reason I predicted a major eclipse sacrifice, and I say major, again, this guy wasn't a huge actor, but the numbers line up nonetheless. Another reason I said that this would be an important date is because it was the 47th day of the year. In reduction, the phrase total eclipse equals 47. And what do you know? Well, in English Extended Gematria, 47 has this really interesting gematria of 1616. Michael Bloomberg's full name has gematria of 1616 as well, using triangular numbers. This cipher called trigonal. Michael Rubens Bloomberg, summing to 1616. Now, Bloomberg, we mentioned his birthday earlier. The day before Jason Davis died, he turned exactly 4,070 weeks old. So the date on which this guy lived for his last full day alive Bloomberg was exactly 4,070 weeks old. Pretty interesting. Another reason I pointed this date out ahead of time is because of its relation to the Great American Eclipse. If you include the end date, Sunday was exactly 130 weeks after the Great American Eclipse. Now, this is also 909 days. 13 sums to 99 in the alphabetic order, the only number to sum to 99 when spelled out. Now, on the date of the Great American Eclipse, Jason Davis was exactly a span of 12,000 days old, meaning that on the day he died, he was 12,909 days old. 909 days after the eclipse. What's also interesting is the numerology of the series Recess, on which he played the character Mikey Bloomberg. If you measure from the date that the final episode aired to the date he died, you get 103 days, another 13. Also, if you measure from the date August 31st to the date he died, it's 169 days, and this is 13 squared. So not only did the date have numerology of 13, 130 weeks after the Great American Eclipse, but we get 13s all over the numerology of this guy. Now, here's what's also interesting. Now, hear me out on this as well. I think this is a pretty clear part of the riddle. Notice how Michael Rubens Bloomberg equals 219 in ordinal. Now, last year, in the year 2019, he celebrated a birthday, as everybody did. But check out the numerology here. So in the year 2019, Bloomberg turned 77 years old. And this stands out because his full name equals 219. His common name equals 77. And his birth date has numerology of 77. And then if you, from this significant date of Mikey Bloomberg, fast forwarding to the death of Jason Davis, who voiced Mikey Bloomberg, it's a span of 1 year and 3 days, another 13. So again, I pointed out the numbers ahead of time. It's just a matter of figuring out who has all those numbers, and how the riddle works. Regarding this date, 8/31, by the way, the date that Recess debuted, really the reason Jason Davis is famous is because he's the grandson of a billionaire, Marvin Davis. And look at Marvin Davis's birthday, also August 31st. Now, if you look at the date that Marvin Davis died, September 25th of 2004, we find that his grandson died 803 weeks and 1 day later. Again, Marvin Davis, born on 8/31. This is also 184 months. The name Marvin H. Davis, summing to 184 in reverse. As far as the 140, that syncs up with Michael Bloomberg. Also 140. A couple more things before I wrap this video up. If you add the name Jason Davis, oops. In ordinal, you get 257. This is the Greek and English Gematria of total solar eclipse. Also blood sacrifice. Also, you get a 985 in English Extended. This is the Jewish Gematria of Jesus. Also, the trigonal value of Eclipse sacrifice. And Davis was born 79 days before the first day of 1985. And 79 is the value of Eclipse sacrifice. So the riddle is pretty clear. It's right there in the name. Mikey Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg, current presidential candidate. No, this definitely does not mean Bloomberg is going to be the president or even the candidate for the Democratic Party. Maybe he will be, but pretty sure it's going to be Trump again this year. The president born under a total lunar eclipse, going to be the president for the 2 total solar eclipses over the U.S., I believe. But that's just my prediction. All predictions guaranteed to be wrong or your money back. Unless I'm talking about the Super Bowl, apparently, where I nailed that pretty good, but that was kind of easy. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. We'll talk to you next time. Peace, love, and God bless. See ya.